am your host, Andrew Wright. This is the co-host, Cody Johnson. Cody, how are you feeling today?
Feeling fantastic.
I love it. I love it, love it, love it. March Madness is here, and because it's March Madness, we have our special guest with here today, Bradley Potter. Brad.
Hola.
And he is going to go and basically talk about his bracket. We're going to be talking about our brackets. We kind of already did round of 64, round of 32, and now we are in the Sweet 16. We have our Sweet 16. Brad, because you are our special guest, why don't you let us know what your Sweet 16 teams are?
Thank you. Okay, Mike. I'll start out with East, go West, Midwest, South, like we were doing before. I have Villanova, Florida, and then I have Baylor versus Duke, Gonzaga versus Notre Dame, Florida State versus Arizona, then Kansas versus Iowa, Oregon versus Louisville, North Carolina versus Butler, Cincinnati versus Kentucky.
Okay, Cody, why don't you tell the folks who your Sweet 16 teams are?
All right, so I've got Nova in Florida, SMU and Duke, Gonzaga and Notre Dame, and I've got Florida State and Arizona, and then Midwest down to South, I've got Kansas against Iowa State, Oregon against Louisville, UNC against Middle Tennessee, and then UCLA against Kentucky.
All right, in my Sweet 16, I have Villanova going against Florida. I have USC, that's right, you heard me, USC, 11th seed, going against Duke.
Crossing his fingers that they actually get into.
Are you a fan?
No. All right, and I have Gonzaga going against Notre Dame, Florida State against Arizona, Kansas against Purdue, Oregon against Louisville, North Carolina versus Butler, and UCLA, even though it kills me, versus Kentucky.
Not as much as a USC pick. So.
Yeah, that hurts us all.
It's a soul shut up. All right, so we kind of already discussed why we have certain teams in. I don't think we have really any big surprises other than mine with USC. Yes,
Cincinnati one that I picked. That's kind of
true.
That's
Yeah.
kind of out there.
I picked USC because I really actually like their team. I saw them going against UCLA twice this year, and they played them well every single time. Oh, 3 times. I'm sorry. And they played them well every single time. So I really like the USC team. I think they're a lot more talented than people are thinking. They were in a very tough conference. When you have an Arizona in there, a UCLA in there, and an Oregon in there, it's tough to beat those teams. So that's why I have USC. Brad, what kind of makes you think about Cincinnati? Why you have them in the Sweet 16?
Just from watching them over years, I don't know. Obviously, I'm going to have them beating their round 64, whoever wins that game. And then just against UCLA, not a really fan of UCLA. And that's really all it is. It's like I don't have really any statistical analysis why they're going to win. Just something I think is going to happen.
All right. Cody, who's your biggest upset? I don't even remember.
Mine's Middle Tennessee, beating Butler, and actually Middle Tennessee playing against UNC. I think that'll be my biggest upset is the Middle Tennessee, and I think they're going to be a surprising team. So we'll see. If Butler's a tough matchup though, but I think that they'll pull it off, and they'll be that team that sneaks by everybody.
So Middle Tennessee State is a 12 seed, USC is 11 seed, but I'm the crazy one. Okay, all right, guys, I got it.
Well, as long as he hasn't losing to North Carolina, that's all.
Yeah, Middle Tennessee though is actually guaranteed a spot that USC isn't. I'm just saying.
All right.
Yeah, that is true there. Like,
So,
he's got you there. Like, they haven't even played yet.
Yeah.
The first 4.
They don't need to. That's my confidence right
In my mind, it's USC.
All right. Enough with the trash talk. Well, I guess we're going to continue it because we might not agree. So who do you have going in the Elite 8 is the next question here. Cody, why don't you start off in the Eastern region?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so actually our last video when we kind of did a short discussion about Duke, this was before obviously the ACC tournament where we didn't think that they'd do too much. That was before they won it, so obviously he's changed his mind.
I just want to say I was really wrong. I love you, Duke. I'm sorry I doubted you.
Yeah. I think though that they are going to make it to the Elite Eight, but they're losing to Nova. Nova, I think, is going to be a repeat champion, and they're going to go through Duke. I think it's going to be a great matchup. I wouldn't be surprised if it goes in OT, and don't be surprised if you see Allen throw a leg out or two. But I totally think that Nova, though, is still going to pull it off. Number 1 team in the nation. Duke is on a hot streak, but I think that streak ends against them in the Elite Eight, which is what I predicted that they wouldn't make it out of in the first place.
Okay, so you have Villanova beating Florida, and then Duke beating SMU.
Correct.
Okay. All right, Brad, who do you got going in the Elite Eight?
Well, I have Villanova beating out Florida, and then I have Duke beating Baylor. I didn't pick SMU to go, but so basically the same outcome: Villanova and Duke.
Okay. Yeah, I have Villanova beating Florida, and really there's no other thing I can say other than I think Villanova is just a better team. Honestly, Florida's a good team. I like them. I think they're really good, and to get in the Sweet 16 is something special. I just don't think they can beat a Villanova team. I got Duke beating USC. That's right. Again, I have USC in the Sweet 16. But Coach Krzyzewski and the way that the Duke team is playing right now, I don't think any of those teams that could possibly be playing Duke, I don't think could beat Duke at that point. So I have Villanova and Duke going in the Elite Eight. Brad, why don't you kick us off in the Western region, who you have going into the Elite Eight?
You know, I like watching Notre Dame play, but Gonzaga is really hot right now, so I'm going to pick Gonzaga beating out Notre Dame. And then I also will have, I'm actually going to go with FSU beating Arizona.
Interesting.
I don't know all the stats like you guys do, but like just watching them, watch Arizona play a couple times this year, and it just seems like they're really, from what I've seen, it seems like towards the end they start to kind of fizzle out. So I'm picking FSU to beat Arizona.
All right, excellent. Actually, you know, to back you up, I know you don't know the stats, but I think Brad has watched more games than I did, and that's actually kind of a surprise. He would text me, he'd be like, "Oh man, I'm watching this Arizona-Oregon game, and it's crazy. Are you watching?" I was like, "No, I'm in bed." And so I think he watched a lot more games. So I actually, you know, I don't want you to sell yourself.
No, I'm just saying, like,
you know what you're talking about, okay? So Cody, why don't you go ahead? Who do you have in the Western region in the Elite Eight?
So I've got Gonzaga and Notre Dame, and then I've also got Florida State and Arizona. And then I've got Gonzaga and Arizona playing each other, though. So.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I have Gonzaga against Notre Dame. I'm going to pick Gonzaga. I really like their team. I know a lot of people are like, well, they haven't really played that tough of a team. I really like Gonzaga. I think they were undefeated for, man, it was like, 23 games before they lost?
Yeah.
I think they're a very underrated team for being a 1 seed. I think they beat this Notre Dame team pretty handily, actually.
Yeah.
I really believe that. I like that Notre Dame team, but I have Gonzaga winning. And I just think Arizona's too talented against Florida State. I like that Bacon kid that we talked about earlier.
We like bacon too.
Yeah, we like bacon too. But I got Arizona. I've seen them play against USC, and they're a very, very talented team. Cody, why don't you go the Midwest region? Who is your Elite Eight team?
So Kansas against Iowa State. I've got Kansas moving on, and then Oregon against Louisville. I got Louisville moving on. Rick Pitino getting his team into the Elite Eight.
Brad, why don't you go ahead?
Same here. Right? Well, I have Kansas going against Iowa, Kansas, and Oregon and Louisville. Pick Louisville to be Oregon.
Yeah, I have Kansas and Purdue, and I have Kansas beating Purdue. Just more talented team. Again, Coach Self, I like him. And then Oregon or Louisville, I have Louisville. I think the injury that Oregon has with the center, I think that ends up hurting them. I got Louisville winning.
Yeah.
Brad, why don't you end with South Region with the Elite Eight?
Well, the first one's no-brainer, North Carolina.
Bring it home.
And then Kentucky, I had Kentucky and Cincinnati. I don't think Cincinnati's going to last that long, so past Kentucky, so I picked Kentucky.
All right, so I've got North Carolina beating Arkansas to get in against Middle Tennessee, but I've got North Carolina going on to the Elite Eight. There to meet them against UCLA and Kentucky. Going to be a great matchup when that happens, and I think UCLA though is going to pull it out. Kentucky's a great school, but I think they've got the shooters, and I see UCLA and North Carolina.
All right, my final ones, I have North Carolina versus Butler. I like Butler. I don't like them that much. North Carolina is going to crush them. North Carolina on the boards. You and I watched the Duke and North Carolina game at work, and they destroyed them on the rebounds. I mean, absolutely destroyed them. They are so tough. I think they're going to be a really tough team coming into the Elite Eight.
Yeah.
And then I have Kentucky versus UCLA. This is honestly an honest pick. I like Kentucky. I think they're a better team.
Gotcha.
I think UCLA has a lot of good players. When you get this far into the tournament, I think you have to have some sort of a connection with your teammates. You have to be able to play with each other and know what each other are thinking at the right time. I think Kentucky has that. I think they beat UCLA.